This is CES MMA.
All right, welcome back to Twin River Casino for Path of Destruction. We are more than halfway through this exciting card, and here is another dynamic bout, this one in the bantamweight division, 135 pounds, and right now you're taking a look at Kin Moy from Cambridge, Mass. 1-0 in his young career with one submission victory. A great striker is what they tell me. Won his debut in November with a first-round armbar submission. Had a 6-1 amateur record. Among his victims were Theo Desjardins and, of course, Matt Doherty, who we mentioned earlier.
Right.
Unfortunately for him, was victimized twice by some of our fighters in the amateur ranks here. But again, an impressive amateur resume for Kin Moy, and tonight takes on a real tough test in DINIS PAIVA.
Yeah, you know, we've seen Sweetbread here a lot. When he's on, he is something to watch. He's very exciting, very flashy. He's also the best-dressed man in MMA, if you ask me. And Kin comes from Redline, and Redline's a very good striking school, all-around good MMA school. This should be an exciting fight.
PAIVA comes into this one at 3-3. He's won his last two, and he was really starting to feel it, or had his back against the wall, so to speak. He was 1-3, had some tough luck losses, lost that DQ a year ago, lost to Sergio Moran Cabrera in a real tough fight, left his legs bruised and bloodied on the way out.
He was eating leg kicks, yeah.
But a big win over Josh Lang in December, and that was by unanimous decision, probably the biggest of PAIVA's career to get him back to 500. But this is going to be no easy task. Kin Moy comes in, again, he's a great striker on his feet, but also can take it to the ground as he did in his first fight. And has a real sense of the amateur background, which is going to make it tough on PAIVA.
Amateur circuit in New England is ever growing, and when these guys are showing up at CES, they belong here. So you got to work a hell of a lot harder if you want to get into the pro ranks nowadays.
PAIVA about to make his way to the cage. Tonight, PAIVA is supporting the Knockouts for Knockers Fund, which of course supports breast cancer awareness. You will see the pink ribbon shaved into the side of PAIVA's head. Great craftsmanship by whoever his barber is. You see Keith Allen making his way to the cage. He is PAIVA's instructor. And again, it's another big fight for PAIVA. You want to stay above water, stay above 500.
They're all big fights for Dennis now. You know, he had a hard time, like you had said earlier. He was a little upside down in his record. So he works a little bit harder, keeps his nose to the grindstone. They're all big fights for him. You're looking in his corner, you see Matty Santos standing there. We all know Matty, especially around here, a phenomenal instructor when it comes to jiu-jitsu, and just a huge asset to have in your corner.
That disqualification loss we mentioned was against Clifford Moulton. He had delivered the knee to the head, I believe, when Moulton was on his way up.
Yeah, you know, we both saw it was inadvertent. There was no intention behind it. Dennis was trying to time him coming off the floor, and Moulton, it just didn't happen. And he threw the knee. He admits that, you know, of course it was an illegal knee, not intentional, and just stopped the fight. It was just a tough break.
All right, PAIVA with those last-minute glove check. Kevin McDonald checking everything out. And again, PAIVA's with the pink trunks as well, Scott, to support the breast cancer movement.
God bless him for it. Kevin, you get just a tiny bit of Vaseline where it's not supposed to be, and these guys don't miss it. Consummate throw.
That's why he's one of the best. And here is the tail of the tape. This bantamweight bout brought to you by Badass Incorporated. Kin Moy coming in at 134.5 yesterday. PAIVA coming in at 136. PAIVA 3-3 with one knockout and one submission victory. Kin Moy 1-0 with one submission win. Let's send it down to Bill Carpenter for the official introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Badass Incorporated bout scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds of cage fighting in the bantamweight division. Your referee is Dan Mergliotta. Introducing the blue corner first, to my right, this cage fighter's official weight, 134 1/2 pounds. He was a submission winner in his pro debut, representing Redline MMA out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. Please welcome King Kong MOY. His opponent across the cage to my left, fighting out of the red corner. He tipped the scales at 136 pounds. His professional record, 3 wins, 3 losses, with 1 submission and 1 knockout victory, representing Keith Allen's JKD, fighting out of East Providence, Rhode Island, introducing DINIS Sweetbread PAIVA Jr. 3 5-minute rounds in the bantamweight division.
All right, we're just about set for this bantamweight bout. DINIS PAIVA in the pink, King Kong MOY in the black. This one should be exciting.
DINIS will change his stance quite often. Right now he's coming out as a southpaw.
PAIVA very comfortable on his feet. He does have a boxing match on his record. You see that jab right there.
Stiff jab.
Went 4 tough rounds with John Smith of Cranston, who was a very good amateur Golden Glove fighter.
Yep.
And looked very comfortable doing it, might I add.
Nice takedown by PAIVA there.
That's a textbook takedown by PAIVA. Just picked him up and drops him.
Yeah, Kin was getting very active with his legs, and DINIS kind of timed it to beat him back before his leg got back after the kick. He did a good job with it.
MOY staying active while on his back, or rather with his back to the cage.
Yep, short little punches. You're trying to make your opponent uncomfortable, and he's trying to squirm his way out, and he does. He gets back to his feet.
PAIVA tried to sneak in a couple of uppercuts while MOY was on his way up. Now PAIVA back to working that jab.
Nice knees from Kin. DINIS again with a nice takedown.
PAIVA 2 for 2 in those takedowns, just 1.5 into the opening
Kin's
round.
doing a great job with those elbows.
Yeah, he stays busy regardless. Like you said, just keeping him wary. Keep your opponent honest.
DINIS looking for a scoop, and he gets it. He had double underhooks and was able to that was just power. Kin right back down.
PAIVA showing off his strength early in this fight.
I want to see DINIS take him and pull him off the cage here. Get his hips flat in the ground. And Kin's doing a great job of trying to prevent that.
PAIVA trying to do exactly what you said. But again, MOY tough. MOY very active,
You see how quickly he gets back to his feet.
very squirmy while he's on the ground, might I say.
If you don't maintain a position, if you keep active, it's very hard for your opponent to control you. It forces your opponent to kind of counter what you're trying to do as opposed to impose his game plan.
Another
Nice
packed house
exchange.
here at Twin River, and they're witnessing a good one and a great takedown again by PAIVA.
PAIVA's waiting for Kin to commit to his punches, commit to his kicks, and shoot those takedowns.
Both fighters back on their feet quickly.
Nice stiff jab. That jab's working for PAIVA from the southpaw position, which is not very common. Usually when you have an orthodox fighter in a southpaw, the jab's almost obsolete. DINIS working very hard to pick that ankle and keep Kin on the ground here.
The thing about PAIVA is he doesn't get caught as much as he delivers because his head movement's exceptional.
It is, and to Kin's credit, the same thing's being true. PAIVA's missing him, not setting. He's just timing him right on that on the jab. They both have good footwork this evening.
1:45 to go in the opening round.
Nice job by Kin getting back up. DINIS right back down.
Another scoop and slam for
And he's
PAIVA.
trying, DINIS PAIVA is trying to take his back now.
5th takedown for PAIVA in the opening round.
He's taking damage from the takedown, which is it's interesting when it comes to scoring. Yes, DINIS takes him down. Yes, he's able to work him when he's there. Kin gets right back up. Now he's looking for that guillotine, and Dennis protected his neck again with the takedown. But Kin is just not just sitting there. He's moving. He's being active, throwing strikes. He's doing a very good job.
And we've seen in a lot of fights earlier in this card where fighters who've been taken down aren't as active. And that definitely doesn't work. It works against him.
It doesn't bode well for you. Exactly correct. Dennis is looking for an under scoop here. Working now for a single leg. Switches to the double, tries to run the pipe. Nice knee by Kin. Dennis, nice job of the twist, trying to take his back. Kin's doing a fantastic job of defending this. These are great scrambles by both men. Nice little left hook on the break. Nice straight left hand by PAIVA.
PAIVA letting his hands go.
4 straight left hands in a row. He was throwing great combinations, hooking the right and coming back with a straight left. And every straight left that he threw with bad intentions looked like they landed.
And they all landed, Scott, I agree. Especially those last two, the hook and then the straight left right to the chin.
Yeah, the first flurry, Kin was staying tit for tat with him, but PAIVA really laid it on him good at the end of that.
Well, that's the end of round number 1. A great start for Dennis. PAIVA had some early takedowns. Kin MOY stayed active, but PAIVA closed with a flourish at the end.
I would agree.
And if there was any doubt, PAIVA certainly erased it in those final 30 seconds. Great round for PAIVA.
I agree. You can see Kin's got a small cut there.
Scott, when you get somebody like a Dennis PAIVA who's so effective shooting for those takedowns, if you're Kin MOY, how do you prevent that?
You try to play your angles better. Now Dennis is going southpaw, which leaves his lead leg and his opponent's lead leg close together. And if you're prone for takedowns, that's exactly how you want to do it. So if you want, again, like you would in boxing, stay to your outside foot. Keep that lead leg away from PAIVA to the best of your ability. If Sweetbread's going to keep shooting off that exchange, have better foot position, and you can maybe angle off it or not actually be there when he makes his attempt.
All right, we'll see if MOY can adjust on round number 2. Again, we're in the bantamweight division, 135 pounds. PAIVA in the pink, MOY in the black trunks.
Again, PAIVA wastes no time in getting deep on MOY, and another good takedown.
Familiar territory for PAIVA, but again, Kin MOY staying busy. Hoping those punches and elbows just add up, Scott, and they do enough damage over the course of the fight.
What it also does is it has Dennis defending, or at least uncomfortable. He doesn't want to stay there. He wants to continue or change his direction, and you don't want to leave your head there and get punched with these little gloves.
PAIVA's got that leg wrapped up.
Kin's got it on the outside, so he's not going to get that single. He's defending the single takedown well. Now it looks like Kin switched to a guillotine, and he
got it.
He got a twist.
Kin MOY switches to the guillotine in a surprising turnaround, submits Dennis PAIVA in the second round. It was all Dennis PAIVA up until that point, but Kin MOY.
His grip there, you see he switched from a arm in, he switched his grip to gable grip, and very good twist to finish that.
Oh, a very tough finish for Dennis PAIVA. Again, you want to talk about hard luck losses. Dennis PAIVA has had several on his resume. He had that disqualification loss last year, lost a tough war against Sergio Cabran, and then tonight, in a fight in which he was dominating throughout, in a surprising role reversal, gets choked out by the guillotine by Kin MOY. We're going to see it right here. As Scott Ream mentioned, MOY defends that single leg takedown, gets PAIVA pushed against the cage, and then locks in that guillotine, and in no time, PAIVA drops to his knees and within seconds submits. And Dan Miragliotta right there on top of the action, and that is all she wrote. A huge victory for Kin MOY and quite a turnaround. This was certainly a fight in which it looked like PAIVA was exerting his force and his will. But perhaps, as Scott Ream has suggested, Kin MOY staying busy despite being taken down is what kept PAIVA uncomfortable. PAIVA did go for that single leg takedown, couldn't get it. Kin MOY locks in the guillotine and gets a huge win over Dennis PAIVA Jr. For PAIVA, it's a tough one. He drops to 3-4. Kin MOY remains unbeaten at 2-0. We're going to get all the particulars and the time. We're going to send it down right now to our ring announcer, Bill Carpenter.
Ladies and gentlemen, the contest ends 57 seconds of round number 2. Your winner on a guillotine choke submission, King Kong Moy.
And we're going to stand by with Scott Ream, who's going to give the post-fight interview with our winner, Kin Moy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Kin Moy. Kin, that was a hell of a fight. You looked like you were coming off, fighting that takedown off all night. Did you see something in his game that he was exposing his neck and went for it, or did you just fall right into that?
I mean, basically, my plan was I knew he was a really good grappler, and he could take me down and stuff. So I was just trying my best to wear him down, and I was hoping something would open up later. What I wasn't ready for is his boxing is better than I thought it was going to be. He cracked me in the face a lot.
There's no real evidence of that right now. You're just a little small cut. But you stood in there with them very well. You did scramble well and kept busy when you were on your back. Short elbows, short hammer fist, and made it very awkward for Dennis to keep you down. When you got back up, it looked like that guillotine was very deep. Was it elbow deep?
Yeah, I was trying to do that. I don't know. I saw like on YouTube or something like Cody McKenzie guillotine where you get it all the way through and finish it like that. I don't know.
Well, congratulations on a fantastic fight. You did a great job. Kin Moy, ladies and gentlemen. Kin Moy.